Welcome back to NJC, Mr. Yong.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being with us today despite your busy schedule. For a start, perhaps you can share with us about your first career and how have things changed since then.
My first career, when I finished the NJC in 1984, enrolled into the army, and at that point in time, my first aspiration was to study architecture in the University of NUS in Singapore. That was the aspiration of my late mother. She died of cancer when I was in primary one. But the family situation at home is not so rosy at that point. So my first priority was to get to work and start earning money. And so I was lucky to be awarded the SAF Overseas Merit Scholarship. So I got to receive a salary which goes to help my family's finance. And at the same time, I got to study in the University of London in the UK. So basically that started my first career as a SAF Army officer. Yeah.
Okay, I see. Yeah. So what do you study in university?
It was a double honors in quantum physics and computer science. So I studied for passion, since I'm not going to use the subject for my work, right? Yeah, but it turned out to be, whatever you study now, all the students, you won't know what might come in extremely useful later on in your life. Yeah. So important thing is about go out there and collect lots of dots, and later on you'll know how to connect the dots together.
Okay, so how you started studying quantum physics, right?
Yeah.
So how did things change from then on?
Well, I started my career as a military officer, right? But soon I kind of discovered the spirit of adventure and entrepreneurship in myself. So when I finished my first bond, I left the military service and I joined the corporate world. And at the same time, I started my own business to try my experience and learn the rope of being an entrepreneur. And subsequently, I started my business in 2002, and I've been an entrepreneur since then. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, as an entrepreneur, you had various experiences in different countries, but at the start, you didn't really start off as a social entrepreneur. You were just a normal entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
But what was your most profound experience that inspired you to work towards adding value to the lives of others?
I think there's only one definition of business in the whole wide world, and that is to make someone else's life better. So a sustainable business, a profitable business would be to provide either product or services that will get people's life better, yeah, in whatever aspects, yeah. And now I'll confess that I never heard of the word social entrepreneur when I was younger. Right, not during my NJC time, not during the university days. It was much later when I attended a lecture by Professor Muhammad Yunus, the founder of the microfinance in the Grameen Bank in Bangladesh, and he was my virtual teacher then, who planted the seed of social business, social entrepreneurship in me, and. But in the very beginning, I was just trying to be an entrepreneur to make money for my family, for my child, and I had a very narrow definition of what business is all about. And I thought that business was all about making money, right? And but most people thought that way, especially during my generations. Only much later when Professor Muhammad Yunus comes to my life and I lap up all his books, and I read that how he went out of his way as a university economic professor, and he helped ordinary people who are suffering from poverty, who were not credit worthy, therefore they could not borrow money from the bank, right? And when you don't have capital, you can't start anything, and you become stuck as a forever slave in the modern world, right? So when he started that, then he gave a talk, I read his book, then, oh, there was a big aha moment. I thought, yeah, that is a much wider definition of what business means in today's world. And I truly believe now that being a social entrepreneur, starting social businesses is an alternative way of building really good product, good services that the world needs. At the same time, it can help to avert a lot of the big problems that we are facing today in the world, due to the rich-poor divide, due to the single-mindedness about selfish profiteering in the traditional sense of what business means in that sense. Yeah. So if more and more people, especially younger generation like you guys, could imbibe the wider definition of what it means to have a successful career of running a successful business, then I think the world has a much higher chance of becoming a better world tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Yong. It
Yeah.
seems like you really have a lot of aspirations for the future generation. So we can move on to the next question.
Sure.
So would you say that your time in NJC might have somehow inspired you to become a social entrepreneur?
Oh, monumental. Okay. My time in NJC was highly experiential. I was the vice captain of the swim team, so physically there's a lot of challenge in, I was a very skinny guy at that point in time, I'm still slim, yeah. But so physical discipline is one aspect of it which I gotten a lot from that experience. I was also the chairman of the NJC Guitar Society. So that is, in another sense, right, the artistic expressions, the organizing concerts and teaching the guitar to my members, and we came up with all kinds of ideas. And we organized there was a harmony concert that I conceptualized, and we created a wonderful concert in NJC. So those are the time where I had the opportunity, blessed by the teachers' encouragement and the students' body, and the freedom to experiment, and we turn ideas into reality. Okay, we work with people, student bodies, we form committees, and we give directions, and we do organizations. You've got to manage emotions and that sort of things. So it's a little microcosm of the macrocosm of what the society is all about. And NJC provided that opportunity. I think many schools provided that opportunity as well. The important thing is for students to be willing to step out of your comfort zone, to redefine what college life is all about. College life should, in my humble opinion, be much more than just academic excellence. And far more monumental would be the trip that I signed up for, which is the NJC Himalayas expedition in 1984, led by the late PE teacher, Elizabeth Pui. 30 students and 6 teachers. We spent 3 weeks in the remote mountains and villages of Nepal, which is, at that point in time in 1984, not many of us have traveled further than Singapore, Malaysia, nearby countries. So that was really the furthest world that I had the opportunity to get up close and personal with. And that was a very major, I would say, aha moment, aha trip for me in my times at NJC. I got to come face to face with not just the physically demanding adventure, right, to overcome and to look out for each other, and but at the same time, one of the major experiences I had at that point in time was come face to face with children and youth of my age and younger, and I remember in the remote villages up in the mountain, they had next to nothing. So this was a very stark reckoning of what third world meant to me at that point in time, you know. I mean, Singapore was not really a first world country and, you know, hunky-dory yet, you know, but the contrast was very, very stark. But one thing that struck me was that the children there, they had next to nothing. So if you were to correlate that with our notion of why we study, right? We study to get good grades so that we get a good job and we earn good money and therefore we'll be happy, right? That narrative was one version that I grew up with, right? And while I was there, I saw children who have got next to nothing. Even their parents, adult, the villagers had next to nothing, but they were genuinely a lot joyful, I would say. Their smile is so genuine. Their smile just touched your heart, and their sense of joy, the way they dance around the campfire at night, you know. And that kind of shaped my perceptions of what it means to live a good life. So as a young boy at that point in time, it planted the seed of curiosity in me that was that narrative that I grew up with. Was it complete? Was it a complete narrative, or was there something that was missing that I didn't know about? So I couldn't put all these words into proper order at that point in time. You get what I mean? But it was like it was there was just a little shift, yeah, a little discomfort, you can call it. But the contrast provided me with the context to explore life, to explore business, to explore human interactions on a whole new cosmic level, you could say. Yeah. Now I look back, I could tell you this story, but at that point in time, I don't know, it was just a happy adventure. Yeah, exciting. You know, we come back to the school, everyone welcome us, and we went in the newspaper and all. You know, it was just like, oh yeah, a big ego feeling, you know. But from then till now, the journey has been fantastic. It was a seed that started by Elizabeth Pui at that point in time.
Okay. Yeah, it was really inspiring to learn about how your various experiences in NJC, from being in the swimming team to playing the orchestra, and all the way to going to the Himalayas for an expedition, and how it formed you and shaped you as a person. And I'm also quite sure that there are many NJCians who would be inspired by your work to become a social entrepreneur in the future. So what advice do you have for these NJCians, and what can they do to prepare for such a work experience?
I would say that the younger generation today has a lot of good things happening in the world. At least in Singapore, is at peace at the moment now. You know, we are much more prosperous. The opportunities are abound, right? And so my humble advice would be, during your time in NJC or in your life, learn broadly, experience widely, yeah, and travel to everywhere, yeah, that you can afford to, but not travel to collect photograph with, Pisa Tower or the Eiffel Tower and that sort of things, and not travel just to do shopping, go to the beaches or Disneyland, but travel to experience life in different locales with the different cultures. Because in the process of doing all that, you are collecting very rich dots, nuggets of experiences, tons of wisdom from different parts of the world. And I will add one more thing, is that fortunately or unfortunately, with the advancement of technology and everything else, they come with a lot of calamities that could potentially happen in our lifetimes, your lifetime, in your children's lifetime. Climate change is one crisis that is red hot at the moment now. The rich-poor divide is another huge areas that could create poverty in a very widespread. Yeah, so there's a lot of opportunity for your generations to do astronomical amount of good, much more than just enriching yourself, your life, your own family, but the people around you, the society, the world at large. There's so much brilliance in today's educations. There's already so much brilliance in today's connected world. The question is, do we use all this brilliance just to enrich individual? So a whole bunch of selfish individual will end up creating the kind of financial crisis that we see today. But if a small bunch of people who are collectively vested in each other's goodness can do wonders for the entire world. So read widely, listen to other inspirational stories like Professor Muhammad Yunus. There's so many great social entrepreneurs around the world. It's not necessarily everybody must be social entrepreneur, but I say this to all people who are interested in embarking and starting a business. I would say this, that what if your intention of doing a business can not only enrich yourself, but bring about a better change to the world around you? Why will you not consider a shift in designing your business from a selfish, I wouldn't say selfish, just a self-gain orientation to a wider gain and adding in the social dimensions to it? So that would be a good way to just ponder and think about it as you guys pursue and enjoy your education at NJC and going forward. And I'm sure NJC, service with honor, and that is what is our motto. The question is, it's not just a motto, it's an idea to live out your life.
Okay. Alright, thank you so much, Mr. Yong. We really appreciate having you here today.
Thank you. Yeah, honor is mine.
Yeah,
Alright.
thank you for sharing so many experiences on how we can truly add value to other people's lives. Yeah, we are very grateful for you coming down here today.